The year is 1812, and Russia is fighting off a French invasion, whiling away the long evenings with music and dance. Except this is 2011, and it's Saturday night in Moscow. This costume ball is just one example of how today in Moscow they're quite comfortable celebrating the past. In fact, they relish what went before. Moscow's in the grip of a Tsarist revival that goes way beyond entertainment. After communism's collapse, President Boris Yeltsin began ordering the restoration of key parts of Moscow's heritage. Ceremonial halls of the great Kremlin Palace, where the Tsars were crowned and modern-day presidents inaugurated. Tatiana Kameneva was the chief architect of this restoration project.
Здесь не было ничего, здесь был зал заседаний Верховного Совета.
So all this, I mean, were the chandeliers here?
Все, этого ничего не было вообще, всего этого не было, все это было только на фотографиях, на чертежах и в архивах.
Over 4 years, Tatiana and her team painstakingly rebuilt the pillars, remolded the gold carvings, and restored the two-headed eagle, Russia's imperial emblem. This wall is one of the biggest changes in the restoration. It was taken down by the Soviets to make one long room. It was restored after the collapse. In total, 19 kilograms of gold leaf went into this room.
Я, как реставратор, убеждена была всегда, что все-таки надо сохранять подлинность. Вся наша вот история, начиная даже с великокняжеского периода, она связана именно с этим местом вообще.
By the turn of the century, the Kremlin halls had been returned to their former Tsarist glory. After the Kremlin, the most famous building in Moscow, some would say, is this, the Bolshoi Ballet, which is just reopening after a 6-year renovation. Tatiana showed me the important parts of the external restoration. The grand facade is restored to perfection, she says. At the back, a similar column structure has been removed, and she's not happy.
Я считаю, что это вандализм. Разрушение вот этого, уничтожение, это должно было остаться, даже внутри, даже если этого не видно.
The Bolshoi Theatre says the columns were not destroyed and have been preserved in the Bolshoi Museum. Yet controversy surrounding Moscow's major restoration projects is nothing new. The Cathedral of Christ the Saviour, the seat of the Orthodox Church, and a defining feature on the Moscow skyline. This is the original. It was built in the 1830s. The Soviets tore it down a century later, replacing it with a public swimming pool. By the 1980s, the site already had architects dreaming. It had to be returned.
Сама идея восстановления, она родилась еще в советское время. Через 10 лет, в 1994 году, это стало уже государственной задачей.
Alexei Denisov worked on the new cathedral for 5 years before being replaced by another architect. He believes the building symbolizes Russia's spiritual revival. As an architectural revival, he has his doubts.
Это наглядно проявилось в художественном убранстве храма, в частности в барельефах. Они были сделаны в свое время из мрамора, и, конечно, мы хотели их повторить в том же материале. Вот. Но, значит, в коммерческом плане было выгоднее сделать это из бронзы, и так и сделали.
The devil's not only in the detail. The Moscow Architecture Preservation Society warns that complete reconstruction projects like this can actually harm Moscow's heritage.
When we set up maps, we quickly realised that one of the main threats to Moscow's heritage wasn't the bulldozer, it was also this quite insidious practice of constructing replicas, sham replicas, bloated versions of the originals.
While accurately restoring Moscow's heritage can be a problem, back at the ball, it's clear there's much more than just accuracy at stake.
There is more to it than meets the eye, because basically it's about filling some gaps in the way Russians see themselves.
After a century of revolution and regime change, this city and its people are dealing with an identity crisis. They need to look back and be at peace before they can move forward.